Episode 9 by writer and director J.J. Abrams is not only supposed to connect to the prequel trilogy, but also the original trilogy as well in order to wrap up the entire Skywalker saga. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, one thing that a lot of people are very curious about when it comes to this movie is, of course, exactly how J.J. is going to connect this film to the prequels and even, yes, the original trilogy itself. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art and storyboard descriptions, etc. Now, what's really intriguing that has all to do with Episode 9 is, of course, how the Death Star will be used in Star Wars Episode 9 specifically. Now, the Death Star isn't necessarily returning per se, but what's really intriguing about this film is that Kylo Ren's new order, a lot of his weapons and his ships and different things in this movie will actually use the Death Star technology in Star Wars Episode 9. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I find this to be very interesting by them using remnants of the Death Star 2 and the Death Star 1 as a way of using that to power their super weapons and their weapons and ships, etc. in Star Wars Episode 9. Now, we saw a little glimpse of this in Star Wars The Last Jedi, in case you guys did not know. That big battering ram type thing on Crate that the First Order used also used the Death Star technology. The same thing will be applied here in Star Wars Episode 9, except on a magnified scale, where Kylo Ren's new order, a majority of it, will be powered by the technology of the Death Star. And this is, of course, going to be one of the ways that J.J. Abrams will tie in both the originals into the sequel trilogy, specifically in Episode 9. So, the one thing here that I'm also curious about has all to do with Kylo Ren's new order. Is it necessarily going to be called the First Order still in Star Wars Episode 9? As you all know, that was, of course, Supreme Leader Snoke's creation, at least as far as we know. So now that Kylo Ren is considered Supreme Leader Ren and the leader of the First Order, is he going to have a new order name in this film, which should be very interesting for sure. Now, we even heard the line by Kylo Ren when he was talking to Rey, where he said we can actually build a new order to rule the galaxy. And I think that when we look at everything that has happened since the prequels, the originals, The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi, there is a lot of evolution within the Star Wars franchise in the Skywalker saga. You know, we see all these different versions of power. You know, one of the big ones was of course, the Empire, and now we got the First Order, and we could very well be getting a new order in Star Wars Episode 9. So, do I like the idea of Death Star technology being applied to Kylo Ren's new order in this film? Honestly, I kind of like it. I know some of you guys out there may not like this, but the Death Star's role in Episode 9, where they are using the remnants of that technology in order to power themselves, I think is pretty unique. And honestly, I believe that this ties into the multiple super weapons that we have been hearing about for so very long now, where I think that they are going to be the world devastators. Now, these new super weapons in Episode 9 have been described as being very square in design, and each one of them have 4 large engines on them. And in the middle, in between all engines, there are these big blasters that fire upon the surface of a planet, destroying the topography. Now, I think that that all has to do with the world devastators, or at least Disney's version of just that from the EU, Legends material, and even some of the video games like Rogue Squadron and Rogue Leader. So the world devastators, if they are indeed the devastators, I believe that that is where the actual Death Star technology will be applied in this film under Kylo Ren's new order. So that's another thing that I do want to touch on. We do know that J.J. Abrams is trying to introduce a lot of new ships and new weapons and kind of moving away from the traditional stuff, right? Like X-Wings, TIE Fighters, etc. And the main reason as to why is because this movie is about banding the whole entire galaxy together, grouping the whole entire galaxy together in order to fight the First Order. And when you get people from, let's say, for example, the unknown regions, the Outer Rim, the Mid-Rim, other parts of the galaxy. You're going to see these new ship designs in Episode 9, which is something pretty exciting and honestly something that I'm really looking forward to seeing in this film. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.